Predators appeared on the scene way back in 1987, which was more than 3.5 decades ago. And yet, the creatures fascinate us in all possible ways. We explore various aspects of them, and you loyal and curious Predator fans show the love these magnificent hunters deserve. So, in this video, we will dive into the life cycle of these intergalactic hunters from their early days as eager novices to their twilight years as revered ancients. That's of course not all. We will also explore the ins and outs of their society, where honor, skill, and the thrill of the hunt define their existence. But first, a brief overview for people who are not thoroughly accustomed to predators. Let's get started.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
A brief overview. The Yautja, better known as predators, are an alien species famous for their sport of hunting other dangerous beings, including humans. These humans breed like us, but are way ahead technologically. They blend high-tech gear like cloaking devices and energy weapons with old-school arms like blades and spears. Predators, big on trophies, often take keepsakes from their conquests and have a thing for ritualistic mutilation of their prey. They're not just about Earth. These guys have starships and have been cruising and hunting across galaxies for ages. In fact, in the third issue of the Predator vs. Wolverine miniseries, we can see a Rancor skull from the Star Wars universe. How? Well, all three franchises are now owned by Disney. But what about their favorite prey? Well, it has to be the Xenomorph XX-121, or hard meat, in their lingo. Predators see these as top-tier targets, even setting up controlled hunts with captive queens for their younglings' initiation. These encounters aren't just about hunting. They're a deep-rooted part of their culture and tradition. Predators, iconic in their appearances across various films, have seen their design evolve significantly. In Predator 2, the main Predator was styled to be more urban and trendy compared to its predecessor, sporting tribal forehead ornamentation, a steeper and shallower forehead, brighter skin, and extra fangs. In Alien vs. Predator, the Predators got a more heroic makeover with smaller heads and waists, wider shoulders, a muscular build, piranha-like upper jaw teeth, and drier skin, distinguishing them further from the aliens. However, in Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, they returned to their sleeker pre-Alien vs. Predator design. The black Super Predators and Predators were inspired by the evolution from cassette tapes to iPods, symbolizing a modern, advanced version of the classic design. These Super Predators were leaner and taller, with longer faces, tighter armor licensed, and more swept-back dreadlocks. Despite their prominence in the film, the Predators were never officially named in any movie. They were simply referred to as Predators. However, in expanded universe materials like novels and comics, they've been known as Yautja, Ishkuten, or Hunters. The term Yautja first appeared in the novel Aliens vs. Predator Prey, based on the original comic book series. Marvel Comics recently acquired the rights to the Predator franchise and released Predator #1, marking the official naming of the species as Yautja in mainstream comics and canon. The intellectual property, initially owned by 20th Century Fox and licensed to Dark Horse for comic development, transitioned to Marvel following Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox. The comic, written by Ed Brisson with art by Kev Walker, features a revenge story following a young girl hunting the Yautja responsible for her family's death, which is something we have explored. I'll leave a link in the description. Reproductive biology. In Predator society, gender roles in biology are pretty fascinating. For starters, some of the ladies, known as brooders in their language, can be even bigger and tougher than the guys. They sometimes sport spikes on their elbows and backs, like this one named Hashori. They also have more pronounced chests, kind of like human women, but not all female predators are easy to spot. Some look pretty similar to the males in size and shape. Take Big Mama, for instance. She was spotted in the buff once. And let's just say, at a glance, female predators seem to have reproductive bits similar to human women. We've explored her entire story in one of our videos. You may want to check it out. As for the guys, they're pretty much like human males in the anatomy department, complete with external goodies. Now, most predators we've seen, whether in movies or the expanded universe, are dudes, but there are a few notable female exceptions like Vagudi and Wendigo. Predator clans have their own quirks, and this extends to gender differences too. In some clans, the females are the heavy hitters, while in others, it's the opposite. Both genders have this strong scent they give off. For the guys, it's a sign of aggression. For the ladies, it's either that or a signal they're ready to mate. This scent is a big deal among predators and can even be picked up by dogs, though we humans can't smell it. Behavior-wise, there are some differences too. Male predators, especially the younger ones, tend to be hot-headed and eager to prove themselves, sometimes to the annoyance of their mentors. A leader predator named Dachande once figured out that Machiko Noguchi was a human female just from her behavior, noting that guys in his species aren't always the sharpest tools in the shed compared to the ladies. This might be why we see more male predators out on hunts. The Hish, a unique group among Yautja, have fluid gender roles. They switch between being receptive and generative breeders, though some might not be too happy about these shifts. The females are more colorful than the males, with purple around the jaw and colored bands on their dreadlocks, and they have a roundness that's hard for anyone but another Hish to notice. Life cycle stages. Yautja don't just date around. They have a breeding season, and that's when the females, who are pretty picky, choose the strongest and bravest males to father their children. The more impressive your hunting record, the more you're in demand. Some top-tier males, like Nut Kapu, even have multiple wives. Continuing the bloodline is a big deal. The goal is to leave behind as many offspring as possible. Some legendary hunters have dozens, even hundreds of kids, but it's not all fun and games. Elders can be harsh, disqualifying some males from the breeding pool and going as far as making them impotent. Interestingly, reproduction is enjoyable for both genders, but it can be a wild ride, literally. Dachande recalls getting tossed across the room during a passionate moment. Birth and early life. The kiddos, called sucklings, pups, or younglings, start off pretty much as you'd expect. No details on diaper changes though. From a young age, these little ones are likely getting a taste of what it means to be a Yautja, probably a mix of jungle gym and survival training. Adolescence. This is when things ramp up. The young Yautja enters their teen years, so to speak, and begin the path to becoming a true hunter. They start off as young bloods or unblooded, basically the newbies of the hunting world, trying to make their mark. Adulthood. Now we're talking about the big leagues. Once they hit blooded status, they're in their prime. This is when they start racking up those impressive kills and making a name for themselves. Here's where things get spicy. The Yautja social scene is all about showing off strength and bravery. The guys with the longest dreadlocks, yeah, that's a big deal in Yautja culture, and the most daring feats get the most attention, especially from the ladies. It's a bit of a show-off contest. That's the Yautja life cycle for you. A mix of tough training, fierce hunting, and a complex social and reproductive scene. Code of Honor. The Yautja Honor Code governs the daily life and hunting practices of predators, laying down strict rules about when and how they can hunt and kill. This code is rigorously enforced, and violating it, whether intentionally, accidentally, or even unwillingly, is often seen as a grievous offense. There's a bit of leniency, but it's usually reserved for the highest-ranking warriors like Scarface or the lowest, like the youngblood and unblooded novices. When it comes to hunting, all Yautja are expected to follow the code and traditions closely. If a predator breaches the code, they're supposed to honorably accept and submit to punishment. Failing to do so brands them as bad blood, a term used for social outcasts within their society. These bad bloods are then exiled and become targets for other predators who may hunt them down as fair game. To enforce these rules, some predators are assigned as enforcers or arbitrators, specifically tasked with hunting down those who flee punishment or try to conceal their failures. Despite the harshness of these rules, it's not entirely impossible for a Yautja to redeem themselves and rejoin society after breaking the code. However, such opportunities for redemption are rare and limited to specific circumstances. A predator seeking redemption must first acknowledge their breach of the code and willingly accept the consequences. They are then given a task to complete, which is often extremely challenging, and they must either succeed in this task or die trying. This process underscores the importance of honor and responsibility in Yautja culture, emphasizing that even the most disgraced individual can regain their standing through great effort and sacrifice. Hunting as a cultural pillar. In Yautja culture, the hunt is everything. It's not about getting rid of threats or filling their bellies. It's all for the honor, the sport, and the pure adrenaline rush of the hunt. For male predators, hunting is also key to their social life. It's how they impress the ladies. Without hunting, a male predator might as well be invisible to potential mates, which means no continuation of their lineage. In their world, if you're not hunting, you're not really living. After a successful hunt, Yautja have this ritual of marking themselves with the blood of their kill, kill. Each clan has its own symbol, but the most famous one is the Thunderbolt, which is usually linked to some kind of warrior god they worship. Fighting among themselves isn't usually their style since their main focus is hunting other species. But that's not to say Yautja society is all cut and dried. Some clans have done some pretty unconventional stuff, like letting humans join their ranks. There are also tales of inter-clan rivalries and even internal rebellions showing that their culture isn't entirely monolithic. Now, most predators play by the rules, but there have been a few who've gone rogue, attacking unarmed people, including women and children, often in dishonorable ways like ambushes or backstabbing. These are probably the outliers, the so-called killers or bad bloods. Machiko Noguchi, a human who got accepted into a predator clan, has her own take on things. She reckons the predators might be behind the spread of xenomorphs across the galaxy. The predators, however, deny this, claiming that the widespread presence of aliens is more a case of convergent evolution happening all over the place. And then there's this ongoing theory about the engineers and the Yautja possibly being old foes. In AVP Requiem, there's this scene showing an engineer helmet as a predator war trophy, sparking speculation that maybe the xenomorphs were an engineer weapon used against the Yautja. But again, that's just speculation. They're big on their gods too, with a pantheon featuring a warrior god and a grim reaper-like figure, showing just how deep their culture goes. In short, the Yautja society is this intricate web where hunting skills, tradition, and honor define who you are and your place in the grand scheme of things. Clan system and roles within the society. Predators have a super structured society that's all about their hunting lifestyle. Think of it as a ladder of coolness based on how good they are at hunting. First up, you've got the unblooded. These are the newbies, young guns still learning the ropes. They're physically mature, but aren't considered top hunters yet. Once they step up their game, they become young bloods, sort of like teenagers trying to prove themselves. They earn their stripes, quite literally, by making their first big kill, usually a xenomorph, and then celebrate with a blood-marking ritual. The blooded predators are the ones who've successfully taken down a xenomorph. They're the real deal in the hunting world, and they start getting noticed for more responsibilities and, well, dating opportunities. The elites are the all-stars, handling tough hunts and dangerous missions. Then you have the leaders and elders. Leaders are the tough love coaches for the unblooded, and elders are the wise old folks who run the show. The ancients are the grand masters, super respected and in charge of making sure everyone follows predator rules. There's also a unique role for the ladies, the matriarch. She's basically the boss of the clan, ruling planets and keeping everything in order. Hunting isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It's about honor and a strict code that guides how they treat each other and their prey. Their tech is a mix of high-end stuff like cloaking devices and plasma guns with old school weapons like spears. Now, not every clan is the same. Some are cool with humans, others not so much. Just like any society, they've got their share of drama, internal power struggles, different takes on hunting, and even some clan rivalries. Old age and death. When predators or Yautja hit the ripe old age of around 1,000 years, they enter the rank of the ancients. These guys are like the wise old sages of predator society. They're not the ones calling the shots as clan leaders, but they're highly respected advisors and spiritual leaders. Humans sometimes get them mixed up with elders, but they're a bit different. Now, being an ancient is pretty impressive, given the hazardous life of a Yautja. These old-timers stand out with their long gray dreadlocks and facial quills, signs of their venerable age. Younger predators have shorter, blacker dreadlocks just for comparison. Ancients also have this thing for fancy gear. Their stuff is more decorative and flashy, showing off their high status. Their masks, in particular, are unique compared to the standard biohelmet. A lot of times, you'll see ancients chilling without their masks. In their society, the ancients were the go-tos for wisdom and spiritual guidance. They're like the mentors and advisors for clan leaders and the younger crowd who often look up to them. Some of them even sit on the Council of Ancients, which is pretty much the governing body for all Yautja. A clan usually has just one ancient, the oldest and wisest dude around. When their time is coming to an end, they pick a successor to pass on their title and their mask, which is this ancient relic that's been around for thousands of years. Even though they're technically under the elders in rank, their wisdom and age earn them a lot of respect and influence. One cool thing about the ancients is that age doesn't seem to slow them down. There was this one time when a Predallian queen and her hive were causing trouble, and the Council of Ancients sent an ancient nuke carrier to handle it. This guy moved like a young hunter, packing enough punch to make even the toughest xenomorphs think twice. This shows that Yautja might actually get stronger with age, not weaker.
Come on, you ugly...
Biological aspects of Yautja. Now that we have established who and what the Yautja are, it's only fitting that we get into the details of their biology and other physical aspects before moving on to their life cycle stages. Size. Predators are towering humanoid creatures. We all know that by now. They can easily dwarf humans thanks to their impressive height, often exceeding 7 feet. Some even reach the 9-foot mark, and taller if they are a super predator. They've got these unique, hair-like appendages drooping from their heads, kind of like dreadlocks, and their skin has a reptilian vibe to it. Their faces are distinct with arthropod-style mandibles, and funnily enough, they don't seem to have noses. Now, about those mandibles, their exact biological purpose is a bit of a mystery. In fact, it was James Cameron who suggested to Stan Winston, the creator of Predators, that he should add some mandibles to the creature. Some folks think they might play a role in mating rituals, kind of like a peacock's feathers. Lex Woods once mused they could be like a human appendix, just there without much use. But there's a reason to believe that predators use them to express emotions. Blaring them out? That means they're either angry or surprised. Clicking them together? That's interest or curiosity. They can even grin with them, and they can even be used as weapons, delivering some nasty bites. Aside from the mandibles and dreadlocks, some predators sport these quill-like features on their cheeks and above their eyes. When it comes to looks, no two Yautjas are the same. They've got their own version of genetic diversity. Though they're generally pretty tall, there are exceptions, like Monday, or the aptly or ironically named Shorty, who is more human-sized. These shorter predators often get some flack in their own society for their height. Their skin tones vary a lot too, ranging from light to dark. Some have spots, others are plain, and the texture can be either dry or kind of clammy. It's quite a mix in the Yautja world. Strength. When it comes to strength, they're in a league of their own. An average human, even a well-trained one, doesn't stand a chance in a fistfight with these guys. They can punch hard enough to break concrete and rip a person's head and spine out without breaking a sweat. The bigger ones? They can tear a human in half, just like that. They're also incredibly agile. These guys can leap 3 times their own height and drop from heights 10 times that, landing on their feet like it's no big deal. They're natural climbers too, preferring to move through trees or across rooftops when they're on the hunt, jumping from spot to spot. You'd think that with all that armor and muscle, they'd prefer cooler places, but nope, they love the heat. Think tropical jungles and such, but they can hang out in freezing temps if they need to, like that one time in Antarctica. In the latest Predator vs. Wolverine comics, the Predator actually met Wolverine in what can only be described as a cold desert. Isabella Borgia reckoned Yautja have superior genetic material, which gives them enhanced and near superpower-like abilities. Their blood can neutralize xenomorph acid blood to some extent. Plus, it is known to have life-extending properties for humans. Furthermore, predators see the world differently from us. Their eyes are tuned to the infrared spectrum, so they're great at picking up heat signatures. But they can struggle to differentiate objects with similar temperatures. That's where their helmets come in. These helmets boost their vision, letting them see from infrared to ultraviolet and filter out ambient heat for better clarity. They can breathe our air, but if they lose their helmet, they might need a breathing aid. So basically, these guys are tough as nails, way tougher actually. They shrug off gunshot wounds like they're nothing and can handle radiation levels that would knock us humans out of the game. They're not just tough on the outside either. Most earth germs and viruses don't bother them much. So yeah, that was everything about the life cycle, purpose, and old age of the Yautja. We have made separate videos on topics like the importance of Yautja blood, etc. And of course, there's no dearth of content on the AVP universe on Marvelous videos. You may want to check them out.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.